Welcome back, students. We have Ron with us again to talk about a much more fun topic. According to Ron, this is the fun topic. We're going to talk about data analytics. And first off, I just want you, Ron, to define data analytics to somebody new to internal audit, or as we call it here at MSU Denver, risk assurance and advisory. So new to this class, they've heard the word. Obviously, we even used it in our last interview together.
Yeah.
But just defining overall, what would you say data analytics is?
Yeah. So I think in a clear way, data analytics is the process of taking raw data, raw inputs that either a user or computer puts into a system and translating it into a readable form or telling a story that management can be able to take that information and apply whatever they need for that data, either if it's a process change or if it's a way to look forward or a way to even fundamentally change their business. I think a lot of people get caught into the minutia of what data analytics actually is, but ultimately what you're looking for is taking raw inputs and telling a story for management to make an informed, data-backed decision.
Oh, I love that, telling a story. I've never heard anybody explain it that way. That's absolutely perfect. So I always would have said, it looks for outliers, but what do those outliers do? They kind of tell a story of what may or may
What's going on, the
right?
underlying issue. Correct. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's perfect. So you said when you signed up to talk about this topic with the students, you said demystifying data analytics was a passion of yours. So can you tell us more about what that means?
Yes. So when I first got into accounting, there was always this talk about data analytics is the future of audit and what is it? What is the fun? It's very mushy, but it's exciting. I would equate it to like what crypto was last year. And when you dig deep into it, and I've been in many continuing education requirements, I've been in a lot of trainings, I've been in a lot of sales pitches where they present data analytics. And they use a lot of fancy terms, a lot of words, a lot of, just it's magic, all that stuff. But when you look into it, the deep of it, it's a stuff that a lot of auditors and accounting professionals kind of use on a daily basis. It's a glorified, prettier version of Excel. And as long as you know the Excel portion, and if you're really good in Excel, you'll sorry, I don't want to say the word kill, but you will do really well like in data analytics because a lot of it is transferable. And I think what gets a lot of people in management like concerned, and you always hear the higher ups, it's something they don't really understand. So when they say data analytics, they don't really know what they're meaning. And so if they don't understand what they're meaning, what they're saying, it's very much of they think it's magic and they think it's kind of some, I don't know, unreachable. And it really is reachable. It's very easy to understand once you kind of get into the weeds of it. And I've taught a lot of my staff about data analytics. And once you kind of do it piece by piece, a lot of them understand it and they can, the challenge is, I guess, is taking the tools that and then applying it to new situations. That's the hardest part. But in terms of the general understanding, it's very intuitive in my opinion. I mean, I think anyone can pick it up. And as management's always said, they have special groups for that. But I honestly believe if you have 2 years of accounting, they would definitely consider you a data analyst, data analytics scientist. But I'm sure as data analytics mature, it will become more of a nuanced field. But for now, at this current moment, you are in the perfect time of getting into data analytics and not only learning the foundations of it, but then also kind of creating a beautiful visuals that management can use to understand the process.
Yeah. So I think you hit it. It's like we all use it in our more than we think we do even. And so it's kind of giving yourself credit. It's not this fancy thing that only data scientists can do, and I think it's like that whole data science field maybe kind of intimidated us from data analytics when there can be some simple, like you said, in Excel. Yes, there's different systems like ACL, right? I don't even know if the ACL still exists.
ACL still exists.
Different systems to do data analytics and queries and things, but you can use Excel. So it can be something that the typical internal auditor or internal audit student can do, which I think is important. So I like that whole demystifying kind of, and another thing just to throw in for the students, we work on the Harvard Business Better Guide to Better Business Writing. And one of the things is to avoid biz speak and jargon. And it's funny, it's like, I almost feel like the way you explained data analytics, it kind of got to be this like biz speak where we need to make it more common language, and it's not that, it's not that, shouldn't be intimidating to intimidate. So, well, I think you are going to show us some examples of how you've used data analytics in your work. And I'd love for you to do that. I might actually need to let you share your screen here. So let me do that. Make you
Yeah, certainly.
Yep. And then you are welcome to kind of share whatever works.
Okay, perfect. So let me put that here. And this is a little preview of what it's going to look like. But with data analytics, you ultimately always start with a question of what is management trying to understand and what do they need to know to reach an informed decision. So in the real world, you often get a question of like, I need to know X and Y and Z. So in this real world example, we were asked internal audit to look at travel and expense that the company spent and tell us what we need to know. Very general question. And so it was our responsibility to figure out, okay, what is important to management and what can be, what is something that they need to make a more informed decision. Either it's going to be a process change or maybe limit the use of expenses that are reimbursed by the company, something like that, something to tell them useful information. So in case studies, you probably only have like a table of 100 lines. Or in the real world, you have, let's see here, I'm going to do a quick sum. If you look at the count, 330,000 lines. This is a year of T&E data. This is a huge data set. And if you know anyone who's worked with Excel, the more lines it is, the longer it takes. And this is where it kind of transitions from an Excel task into what the real world calls business intelligent apps. This is your Tableau. This is your Power BI. This is your ACL, IDEA, or is another audit program that they use to take large sums of data and try to create a visual for it for management or the end user to understand the data. So as you can see here, there's a lot of information going in here, and it doesn't really tell you a story. It just gives you the information. And what we try to do is visualize it. So in our company, we use Power BI, and we took this into this. And so we decided to bring it up. Okay, what does business want? Well, maybe they want to look at how they're spending by segment. Our company has multiple segments, 4 segments specifically. And here's the breakdown of the expenses. And then within segments, there's separate business units, who's spending the most. And then what type of are they spending on? Is it job specific? Is it just traveling to job sites? Just to kind of reiterate, I work at a construction company, so there's a lot of people traveling to and from the project sites. Others, a decent category, indirect, and the meals and entertainment. That's the travel, or that's the meals and entertainment. And then we also looked at the timing. Now, one thing that Excel can't do, maybe with pivot tables, but Power BI can do, is that you can quickly filter data. And this is where the magic of data analytics actually happens. So if I click on segment 4, for example, this is the biggest one. If you want to see, okay, who are the big spenders and how they're spending, you just click the button and everything shifts, right? And so you can see all the companies, all the business units that are in this segment, how they're spending their money. And then this is where you can kind of draw conclusions. Now, let's look at the spend by month. This is the bottom table. You see it's pretty consistent. Q2, or the month of June, is the biggest one. I'm curious what that looks like. You can kind of see, okay, who spends the most by that month. And this is the power, and this is what management wants to know. Okay, we seem to be spending month of June. What happened there? And this is just the starting point. Mm-hmm. After this is where management takes that information and tries to investigate and see if there's any ways they can cut costs, or maybe if it's acceptable, maybe to see if there's ways that they can, do other things with this information.
I love that. Real quick, Ron, just to kind of insert, just even from a big picture standpoint, thinking about you working in a construction company, one thing that I would want the students to immediately try to come up with like 5 things about this visualization that you can figure out right off the bat. And it's like, well, it's a construction company, so it makes sense that June might be higher, right? In the summer
Correct.
months. So if you saw December at 7 million, wouldn't you find that a little odd, right? Because are we doing a lot of construction in December? So just that high level visual of, asking questions about data. I mean, that's what data visualization is meant to do, right? And I think just,
Yeah.
can you look at a visual and come up with 5 questions about it is something that I think a great assignment to do.
Yeah. No, definitely. And this was our title page, right? This is the overall look at data analytics. And I have other tabs down here. We see that job expense is 24 million. And so we wanted to take a deeper dive into it. And so this is a visual that I created, and just by the segments and who are the top spenders, and then how it's within job expense, there's many other subcategories. Okay, how does it look like? So job related seems to be the most, with office admin, M&E, travel. So I would say the difference between Excel and any BI, what we call BI tools, is the ability to quickly see trends and to potentially look into them deeper. And this is going to be the future, I would say, of not only internal audit, but FP&A, any type of finance or business. They're going to be looking for this information. And internal audit's in a unique opportunity where we have access to a lot of data like this. And I think internal audit will be in the forefront, or if not in the forefront, definitely in the conversation of being one of the primary users of data and trying to interpret it in a different way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is a huge opportunity for internal auditors to present this stuff to management, and then they can use it going forward even, right? So it's this ability to, one of my best staff, we promoted to data analytics manager because he kept building, queries and things for them to do monthly reviews and find their own issues. And so then it's like, you're actually kind of pushing the auditing back on management a little bit, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're responsible for it ultimately, right? And
correct.
So that's the good part of this.
Yeah. So that's kind of the high end stuff. Obviously, we do a lot more than just this. This ended up being a 100-page report of just looking at every single little thing. But before 10 years ago, we wouldn't be able to do 100 pages of that because there's just no tools available to quickly sort through data. But now with these introduction of BI tools and just people's general knowledge of Excel and how to manipulate, I don't want to say manipulate, but kind of sort the data in useful ways. Those reports, I think, will become more common, and maybe we'll get more into summarized versions. But the ability to do that is just amazing of what happened in the last 5 years, and I'm sure it'll be trending more and more.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and stop sharing, but just give you a little taste of that.
I think visuals are great. That was awesome for them to see something in real life. And I want you to realize that the other option is to literally like sample 25, T&E expenses. And so that's what we did, in 2004, 5, when I started an internal audit. And now look at how you can actually get to, let's look at the top spenders, or, even for a travel and entertainment at T&E, you can look at, like you mentioned, categories, and we actually caught some fraud in, different categories like casinos, and, you can look for those different things using data analytics. What are the chances, if you're just making a sample, that you're going to get to those items? And so it's made our internal audit so much more valuable, I feel like, to the company. And like you said, it's given them the realization that they can use it as well, which I think is fantastic. So I had one last question, and I think we've kind of started talking about it. There's this term about being data literate. And, I try to tell my students, because I had a guest speaker last year say, literally, don't let it intimidate you, but make sure you're data literate when it comes to things like AI and, talking about robots replacing our jobs. What would be your, advice or thoughts on how important it really is for students to be data literate in our professional world, whether in internal audit or in another job?
Yeah, no, I would echo that guest speaker's thoughts on don't be intimidated by data analytics. As I kind of mentioned at the beginning of this interview, it's very much, it's not as intimidating as you think. And if you're an accounting student, or even if you're in business and dealing with Excel, you're doing the basics of data analytics. Even just a simple even a simple sum if, formula that you create in Excel is a form of data analytics. And that is going to be useful when you get into Power BI. Like I can tell you in that visual I showed you, there is a sum if there in behind the scenes. That's just a basic formula, but it can create so much powerful results. In terms of data, like I said, don't be intimidated, but do be aware that it's going to be here to stay.
Yeah.
There's so much information, data available for each company. They have so much information that it's almost overwhelming for CFOs, higher execs, even managers to like comprehend all the data. And there's always going to be someone that needs to be able to tell a story, as I said in the beginning, and tell them what are the potential risks, or maybe you should look at this a little bit further, and just gives them more information, more useful information, I want to say, because if you say just information, then that could be called information overload. But if you give them relevant information, that is going to be the key to not only your success, but the company's success. And so kind of go back to reiterate, don't be intimidated by data analytics. You know more than you think. And just understand that this is only going to be more sophisticated. And yes, it might be harder to kind of build out these analytics, but with that also becomes projects or BI does get simpler to make. There are BIs out there that can just click the button and it does everything for you. So embrace it. Don't be scared by it. And I'm sure you'll do fine. If you take just a little bit of interest in it, it'll help not only your career. I mean, this is how I became a manager pretty quickly, honestly. Just the ability to manipulate data. It was noticed by a lot of higher ups, and that kind of got me into this position where I'm at today. Just be able to tell a story. So it is, just to reiterate again, like it's not going away. And if you can understand even just a portion of this, sky's the limit, honestly. That you'll always be in demand. People will always want to get your opinion on what information I have and tell me what I need to know.
Yeah, no, I love that. So a way to be a trusted advisor is what I'm hearing is learn to, read data, be able to, look at data and tell a story from it. So I appreciate that advice. It is solid for these students for sure. So thank you, Ron, for being here, for demystifying data analytics for us.
Appreciate it.
And we enjoyed having you. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right.